Whiskey
Tango
Life Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of the Whiskey Tango Life Podcast. I'm glad that you could join me tonight. We have a special episode going on. Usually we do interviews with people with interesting life circumstances that center around political and religious topics that I feel are interesting topics that those stories fit in with, and we just have amazing people that we always talk to. Tonight is no different in regards to the type of person that we're talking to, but we have, I believe we have a higher calling right now. I believe in all my heart that God has put us all in this place at this time for very specific reasons. Over the last 2 weeks, I'm not going to lie that I've sat quietly in spaces, whether it's in my van, in my house, and I have contemplated just many things that are going on in the world today. And nothing has been so dire and so calling as what has been going on right now in Afghanistan. You look at the images that are coming out, propaganda coming from the Taliban on what they've taken over, the equipment that we've left there, the people that we've left there, the bodies that are piling up because of these people. And it's left a lot of people angry. It's left a very bitter taste in the mouths of many Americans, including myself. As a person without a military background, I have sat wondering if this is a time for God to call someone like me to just go over and help out where I can. And I know that probably wouldn't end very well. But I received a call today from a friend of mine who's politically connected to me, and quite frankly has been responsible for many of the interviews that you've seen over the last 2 years with people. And he has felt this calling even harder and was recently called up by a group of individuals to help with a special forces operation to go in and save people in Afghanistan. I have said that I will step in and help out wherever I can. Our current plan is to introduce you to one of the people that's involved in this group tonight and find out what's going on, how you can donate to this group and help out, because I think a lot of people are sitting at home right now watching the news, watching everything that's going on Twitter and Instagram, and wondering what it is that an average American can do, feeling completely lost and hopeless that if they don't have a military background, there's nothing that they can do. If they don't have an in the country, that there's nothing that they can do. And I think that this is an opportunity that God has set before us to have a way of actually helping out. And we're going to help out in any way that we can. I'm going to introduce you to Jason in a second here. And my hope is that over the next 2 months of this operation, that we have the ability to check back in on a weekly basis for any updates that can be told. Obviously, these are very special and sensitive circumstances that can't have all the information relayed to you. And I'm hoping that once this operation is over, that they can come back and give some of those stories that may not be able to be shared tonight or in the subsequent interviews that we do as quick follow-ups. So with that being said, and I do believe that this is extremely important, I'm going to talk to Jason tonight. And I'm just going to read right off of the bio that I was sent for him, because it's long and intense, and I think that it would be detrimental to leave out any information and cut him short on his experience. So Jason is a close protection specialist and intelligence expert, having spent 12 years in the U.S. Army as an infantryman and 5 years in diplomatic security overseas. He served as a mobile protection detail team member, providing security for U.S. ambassadors in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Saudi Arabia. Jason has worked for numerous years in a diverse range of organizations, including the Department of State, Department of Defense, and Combined Joint Special Operations Command. In this role, Jason was responsible for the personal protection of U.S. diplomatic personnel, risk assessments, and safeguarding classified information. Jason specializes in intelligence operations, close protection, counterterrorism, and has successfully served a range of clients, including musicians, CEOs, and government officials. So Jason, thank you for joining me, sir.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Obviously, I don't know if I can show as much passion as possible for what I feel is going on and where I think people need to help. But where I think we should start tonight, since we are going to try to do some follow-ups and figure out what's going on, is who are you? Who is the team, as much as you can say? Why did they come together, and what is exactly going on?
So the team and the mission are all former special operations guys, former special forces soldiers, infantry guys, intelligence experts, so on and so forth. And we're all Americans. We're committed to the fight. We're committed to being in the fight. We took an oath. And that oath is something that doesn't ever go away. One of the warrior ethos that we have is never leave a fallen comrade. And we take that serious. We're not going to leave anyone behind.
Okay. And let's just go off of what has been seen in the news recently. Okay. It was just a couple days ago that basically everything went dark. They said there were no more flights leaving the Kabul airport, that they had gotten out as many people as possible. I'm hearing from multiple sources that people are writing emails and letters to various sources. I've heard it on the Glenn Beck program. He has over 200 letters from people that are still trying to get out. And I know that you guys have received letters too. And I know that we can't share those right now. Hopefully we can share some of those in the future, and hopefully we can have the outcomes that we're looking for to share with those letters as well. But who are the people that we're trying to get out of Afghanistan at this point?
Chris, let me tell you, the people that we are trying to get out at this moment are, and I want you to think about this deeply, and the listeners to think about it. These are American citizens, passport holders, and the majority of these people are women, young women and children. Now, there are some men and young boys, but a majority of these people are women and children. Now, that, to me, Chris, is I don't have many words to explain it, if you understand what I'm saying. It's heartbreaking. These men that are working countless hours every night, all day, volunteering their time to do this, they're passionate. Their hearts are broken. They're feeling for these people, and they're wanting to do their part to get these people out of here. It's one thing when you talk about a physically military fit male that is left behind, but it's another thing when you talk about females and small children, because what happens is when we leave them behind, what happens is those small children, those little girls and those little boys, will be sold into slavery. They'll be sold into the human trafficking lines. They'll be sold into the, they've got the organ trafficking issues. They'll be sold into that stuff. We are not going to allow that to happen.
I think along the lines of that as well, it's also my understanding that anyone that's found that helped American forces or are Americans may not even make it to that kind of outcome, because they're most likely going to be killed instead.
Right. And that's a good portion of that is true. Absolutely.
There's a couple of statistics I heard today as well in regards to women in Afghanistan specifically, that prior to 1996, when the Taliban took over, women that went to school in Afghanistan were 20%. When the Taliban took over, it dropped to 0%.
Right.
And when Americans were there, it went up to the mid 80 percentile.
Absolutely.
So
that percentage, Chris, is higher than the 80 percentile. It's in the 90s now.
yeah. Well, until a couple weekends ago, right?
Absolutely.
There's been a lot of things that have been viewed. Like I said, I think a lot of the propaganda that's being put out there that's pissing off Americans is actually being put out there by the Taliban. But man, I just don't even know how I feel about it anymore, because I believe what's going on over there from the Taliban more than I trust our own government to tell us what's happening over there right now.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, that's okay. We have been lied to. We've been, misinformation, and it's just been given out there, freely, without care.
Yeah. So we were talking about the type of people that we're trying to get out of there. These are all Americans that we're trying to get out?
These are Americans, yes.
Okay. So we're talking about people that were over there for multiple reasons, for maybe government related, as far as interpreter type situations, and families, or visiting families, things like of that nature.
Yes. Visiting families, taking school trips, internships through government agencies. There's just a list of things that these Americans were over there. The country was becoming a safe haven, right? It was controlled. We had it under control, and people were starting to visit. Money was starting to come into the country, which is what needed to happen to rebuild it, to rebuild that infrastructure. And then all of a sudden, overnight, literally overnight, it collapsed, leaving these people stranded. They had no idea. They weren't briefed on, whether or not they were going to be able to get out next week or next month. They had no idea. And we turned their back on.
Do we have estimates right now on how many Americans are still there?
We've got a roundabout figure right now that we received today in passports just today alone. Was a little over 300. I'm not going to give a definitive number out, but it was a little over 300. Okay.
Let's talk about the group that's been formed in this case, the Special Forces. My understanding is it's going by the name American Duty. Am I correct on that one? American Duty.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about that and where people can find out more information, maybe a website or anything. And then I have a couple more things to talk about and kind of lead people towards, because obviously the most important part of this is the fundraising effort. Obviously, this is not something that's going to be government covered. Unfortunately, they should have been doing this in the first place prior to pulling all the resources out of there. And by the way, if I didn't yet, I just want to thank you and everyone that's involved in this on what you're doing. The one conversation I had with our mutual friend today was this idea that not doing anything and letting this slip by would be detrimental to our own mental health in the future, to not do anything. And the one thing I said about that is that when someone signs up in the military, they are sent to fight wars that are determined for them to fight. And I just want to thank you guys for having this laid on your heart to feel this as your duty to go without that kind of instruction. And that's going to make all the difference in the world because of what you're putting. I mean, you're putting everything on the line to do this. So.
Absolutely. And Chris, on behalf of, AmericanDuty.org, I want to accept that thank you, and you're welcome to the American people. This is our duty, and therefore American duty. Every American should say, "Hey, what can I do? What do I need to do to help out my fellow brethren that is stranded in a country such as Afghanistan?" What do? You stand up. If your neighbor calls you and says, "Hey, I drove into a city and I've run out of gas and you're the only person that can come get me," what do? You fill up a gas can, you get in your vehicle, you drive down the road and you fill up their vehicle and get it started and get it back on the road, right? That's just what the neighborly thing to do is. So that's what we do. And that's what we've been trained to do as former veterans, former military veterans. We were trained to do this. Like I said earlier in the podcast, we took an oath, and that oath does not expire. Now, to answer your question about the donations, every little bit helps. Every little bit counts. We're in a humanitarian aid crisis right now. We're providing humanitarian aid. And under AmericanDuty.org, you'll be able to go to that website this evening. It should be up and running. They've been working on it to get it running correctly, and the wording correctly on there. And that'll be able to provide these men the opportunities to go into the neighboring countries surrounding Afghanistan to provide humanitarian aid assistance to the Americans and Afghans that are coming out of that war-torn country of Afghanistan.
It's my understanding that, just based on a conversation I had early this morning, that major organizations are getting behind this in a pro bono type of way to help out as much as possible. I know that over the last, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, I shared the Nazarene Fund as well as donated to it myself to get as many Christians out of there as possible. And they exceeded those donations. But like I said before, that we have to have a breaking point at this point, because that was the past. There's nothing more. That chapter is closed at this point. As much aid could be provided in that kind of way. At this point, it really is, I believe, a time for you guys that this is the last opportunity. This is the last chance that we're going to have to do anything about this in the short time constraint that's available to get people out of there. So again, I think that this is extremely important. Besides AmericanDuty.org and finding the links there for donations, I will also provide direct links for those in the description of any video version that this is put out in, and the audio podcasts that go out to Apple, Google, and iHeartRadio and everything as well. The important distinction on those is, it's my understanding, and it could end up differently, so go to AmericanDuty.org to find this out, but there's going to be two different types of donation links, one to go directly towards the men involved in the special operations. But then there's also going to be a donation link for those that are volunteering to dedicate their time to this, so that they can focus solely on this over the next 2 months and not have to worry about losing focus and half-assing this, basically, at this point.
Absolutely, Chris. Our biggest thing, man, is these men that are out here volunteering their time. I've known a couple of them for quite a while, and to see the passion in their eyes, to feel it is amazing. For them to step away from their full-time jobs that they have now, and take this time, is just amazing. I've never seen anything like it. I guess the last time I saw something like this was 9/11. And I was in the Army then at Fort Campbell when 9/11 happened. And you saw a lot of people rising up, a lot of people supporting, but never like this. We've got guys, we've got women stepping up, active duty people, retired people. What can I do? How can I help out? We've got to, with AmericanDuty.org, we got to bring Americans home safely, right? And we got to do it in accordance with the international law. That is key, to do it in accordance with the international law, because it only takes one bad apple, right, to mess up the whole operation. And that's not what we're about. We're about doing the right thing and getting these people home. So I want to thank you, Chris, for having us on, for putting this out here. People like you, thank you. You're not thanked enough. So thank you on behalf of AmericanDuty.org, on behalf of the organizations that fall under it, Patriot Mountain, Spartan Sword, Aerial Recovery Group. Thank you.
Jason, thank you very much for joining us. As I said, check back often. You let us know anything that you need from us in the meantime. If there's any other way that we can get involved, I will certainly try my hardest to do those things. In the meantime, for anybody else that's watching or listening to this, go to AmericanDuty.org and check out where you can donate. I truly believe, and I'm just going to put this out there as my own personal feeling on this, that there are two ways that you can help right now. That is, number one, donating to these organizations on both fronts, whether it's both directly to the Special Forces unit, as well as the volunteers that are involved in this. And possibly even greater than that, if you can't donate and you donate, pray for these individuals, pray for the people that are in Afghanistan right now, pray for just the abolishing of evil in this world at this point, because that is what we are dealing with. So Jason, I will be personally praying for you and your team and for the people that you're saving. And I am looking forward to God's hand delivering you guys to safety, and God's hand delivering those that you're saving to safety as well. And I am hoping that this message can go to as many people as possible. And I think personally, I believe that this stuff should go to churches, and that we should raise prayer all over the country for you. So
yes, yeah, thank you.
And you let me know when you're ready for updates, and I'll take whatever I can get and push it out there for you. Okay?
I definitely will. Thank you, Chris.
Jason, thank you very much for your time. And again, you can go to AmericanDuty.org, find out more information there about donating to this cause. I believe that this is the time in history for you to place your name in the book of life on helping out these individuals, both in Afghanistan and the Special Forces unit. I believe that truly deep down the bottom of my heart. We are praying for them. God bless them. God bless you guys. And God bless America. Have a great night.